The Dallas Mavericks have big goals for the 2023-24 season. After failing to make the play-in tournament last season with a 38-44 record, they'll be relying heavily on the development of young players, specifically Dereck Lively, who is likely to be a day one starter for the team, and his ability to make the leap to the NBA and be an impactful paint protector will be important for the team's defensive success after finishing 25th in defensive rating and 30th in total rebounding percentage. Lively has played 3 preseason games so far in his NBA career at the time of recording this video. 2 of those games were against the Minnesota Timberwolves in Abu Dhabi, featuring Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns, and the other matchup was an international exhibition match against Real Madrid in Spain. A closer look at Lively's game film to see what he did well and what needs to improve ahead of the regular season. Lively displayed some intriguing potential utilizing his length as the big defender in various half-court actions. Here, Rudy Gobert gets into a handoff and then rescreens, and Lively maintains proper positioning to be able to account for Gobert and the ball handler, and after the nail help forces a pickup of the dribble, Lively is in a position to be able to get a hand on the basketball and force a change of possession. It's important for the Mavericks to properly handle helping Lively when he makes plays on the ball as a rim protector. Here, he handles the delay zoom action drive well. He blows up the initial finish attempt, and Omax Prosper attempts to get a body on Gobert, but ends up mistiming his jump. Gobert gets the offensive rebound and just misses a point-blank putback. The Timberwolves run a double-wide pin-down screening action and attack on a drive on the catch, turning the corner. Lively steps into a 2-foot jump, high points the ball off the glass. Real Madrid put a lot of pressure on the Mavs defense with their live dribble one-hand passes with great timing, especially early in pick and rolls when the big managed to get behind the big defender. And in this instance, Lively ended up making a recovery and he closes the space, gets vertical, and Tavares is unable to make a play before Lively just rips the ball loose. Real Madrid gets into a second side ball screening action on this play. Tavares slips the screen, and Lively does a great job of making contact with Tavares on the roll. The guard isn't able to make an exchange on the lob pass. This just sails high, hits high on the backboard, and the Mavericks are able to close possession. The Mavericks still have plenty to sort out with their ball screen coverages with Lively as the paint protector, and we're going to dive into some of those examples. With Josh Green icing the middle floor ball screen, giving up a drive left, and Lively ultimately committing to stay attached to Gobert as the drive developed, there wasn't a defender in position to pressure Conley on a finish left. The Mavs would benefit from determining whether they want to tag the roller with a weak side defender more aggressively and hold it to allow Lively to make a more aggressive play on the ball as drives happen out of ball screens. Real Madrid used some finesse passes that caught Lively off guard. Here on this example, Tavares rolls and there's a sizable gap. The guard, Campazzo, uses a pocket pass. Lively is unable to recover, flips his hips by the time Tavares has already left his feet for the dunk. There were a few possessions where Dallas's guards in pick and roll coverage, whether it was Luka Doncic or Seth Curry, didn't offer much resistance at all at the point of attack. Doncic allowed Campazzo to use a rescreen, get into the gap, and finish at the rim with Lively having to account for Tavares, and there being no weak side low man rotation. Seth Curry quickly trails after the slip screen, and the guard gets into the paint and just finishes a floater, and there was no pressure on the attempt. Lively will need to be careful with his footwork on veer switching. It's something that the Mavs have continued to work on with him. Here, he ends up getting his feet tangled on Campazzo, who's dribbling through, and gets called for a foul. The Mavericks need to tighten up how the rest of the unit handles covering up for Lively when he does make a play on the ball deep on a drive. Here, Grant Williams is late to get a body on Tavares, which ends up costing the Mavericks an offensive rebound for the opposition, and Lively needs to get back in bounds quicker. Ultimately, this results in Tavares getting a foul on an offensive rebound. This was a great sequence from Grant Williams and Dereck Lively. Minnesota tries to play out of a delay set. Towns ends up thinking that Lively is going to be focused on the weak side decoy action and just attacks Grant Williams hard left. Lively recognizes this, rotates over, and helps disrupt the finish attempt at the rim, and the Mavericks close the possession with the rebound. This was a great defensive possession from the Mavericks where they played the style that they tend to like to play. They X out on a corner shooter. They run the next pass off the line, and Lively's in the paint, ready to be able to disrupt a finish, and then they close the possession with the rebound. This was a great example of the value of having a shot blocking threat to be able to rotate and help when needed. Real Madrid attacks baseline out of a post up with a size advantage, and Lively's just in position to blow up the attempt. The Mavs did not have an interior presence defensively last season, and Lively does provide that. There are times where an offensive player drives, thinks twice about attempting to finish or make a play in short range, and the ball gets worked around and ends up on the three-point line. In other situations without a rim protector, perhaps those situations would have ended in a more aggressive approach looking to score. Part of the rim protector's job is to make defensive calls, and here Lively does an effective job of handling Karl Towns receiving a flare screen from Naz Reid, calls out the proper switches, and Towns doesn't have an advantage on the catch and just takes a tough shot over the top. Having a rim protector against various off-ball screening actions like this wide pin down here allows the drive to be pressured and off-ball defenders to be able to recover back out to shooters as opposed to focusing on helping more, and Doncic does that here and gets a contest on the three. With Anthony Edwards being involved in the double wide pin down action here, Lively plays up closer to the level on the catch, and Gobert is able to get behind him as a result, but he uses his length to be able to recover and break up the lob pass. The Timberwolves regain possession, and Lively gets involved as the big defender to a quick ball screening action, and Anthony Edwards just takes a pull-up that ends up not coming close. Lively did an effective job of containing Anthony Edwards on this single wide pin down screening action here. Edwards curls off the screen. Lively shows help early. Edwards is deterred from attacking the rim, fakes a pass to Gobert. Lively recovers, which allows Josh Green enough time to be able to get a tight contest on the shot. The Timberwolves play out of a horn set on this possession. Gobert ends up setting a screen for Kyle Anderson, who attacks hard right. Lively contains this drive. There was a deep pass out back to the top of the three-point line to Naz Reid, but Maxi Kleber does a great job of containing the drive, and then the Mavs force a turnover. Nothing complicated here. Grant Williams contains Karl Anthony Towns on an island out on the perimeter, forces him to attack right, and funnels him into Dereck Lively, who's in verticality, and helps pressure the finish, resulting in a miss. Lively has already deterred the opposition from trusting lob passes that they may otherwise trust being able to make against other opponents, and in this instance, Gobert doesn't get the lob, and the guard tries to finish deep on the drive after attacking a closeout, and Lively blocks it, and the Mavs come up with the possession after forcing the miss. Kyle Anderson tried to catch the defense off guard by keeping it on a handoff, and he just turns the corner, attacks the middle of the floor, and Lively does a great job of recognizing this. Instead of staying attached to Naz Reid, who shakes up the three-point line to try to neutralize him, he ends up rotating over to the top of the charge circle and high points the ball on Anderson's floater attempt and just swats it into the crowd. Even when having a rim protector, something to monitor about the Mavericks defense is having smaller defenders that just get picked on in the half court, whether it's off a switch or just a base matchup that's too small. There were numerous possessions where the Timberwolves and Real Madrid were able to capitalize on the Mavericks being undersized. The Timberwolves play at a double drag here. Seth Curry ends up getting switched on a Naz Reid, who then just takes him into the post and just bullies him with the size for an easy drop step, and then makes a drop-off pass to Rudy Gobert after drawing Lively and help. Timberwolves took advantage of Luka Doncic guarding the ball to begin this possession and their soft switching approach and ball screen coverage. Towns ends up taking Doncic into the post, gets a couple back down dribbles, drop steps, and finishes a hook over the top. Real Madrid snaked the ball screen on this play. Lively veer switches, and this puts Seth Curry on the roll man, and the guard just lobs the ball up, and Tavares just catches it and gets into a finish attempt and draws a foul. At numerous points of Lively's performances, he had some off-ball awareness slippage. Here, Naz Reid loses him in the dunker spot, is able to take advantage using a power dribble before Lively can recover, and draws a foul on the reverse finish attempt. On this possession, Lively progressively just lost track of how long he had been in the paint and got called for a defensive 3 seconds. Here, Lively was too focused on watching the ball and lost track of Rudy Gobert in the dunker spot, who ended up flashing towards the ball, got it in the middle of the paint, and just put up a quick push shot and ended up having it hit front rim and bounce in. Real Madrid had a couple of sneaky tactics to take advantage of Lively losing track of the opposing big off the ball. Lively lost track of the big who set an off-ball screen after the reset, assuming that a ball screen was going to be developing up top. Lively was stepping up while the big recognized this and cut towards the rim. The guard rifled the ball towards the rim, and it was just a simple catch and dunk with Lively being unable to recover and there being no low man help in position. On this semi-transition possession, Lively was playing up but gets caught off guard with the big slipping instead of setting a screen and isn't in a position to recover, and the Mavs defense ends up just basically having to help and foul on the catch. Here's another instance where Lively assumed that the big was going to go all the way up to set a ball screen, but instead decides to just turn around and dive straight to the rim and catches an alley-oop on this play with Lively being unable to recover. Lively found himself vulnerable, getting sealed too often against Rudy Gobert in particular, and that's something that he's going to have to clean up. Grant Williams does an effective job of containing the catch and go by Karl Anthony Towns and forcing a miss on the drive, but with Lively being sealed by Gobert on his back, this ultimately resulted in the Timberwolves retaining possession, and then the ball ends up finding a three-point shooter out on the perimeter who creates a flyby and then reloads behind the three-point line and knocks down the shot. After Gobert sets a ball screen on this half-court set, he doesn't end up receiving the ball and sees that the pass is being made to the weak side corner to Naz Reid, so he gets a seal on Lively by using his back once again. And with the Mavs looking to run a shooter off the three-point line in the corner, this ends up putting the defense in a terrible position to where there is nobody in position at all to contain Reid on the drive. The Mavs defense gets bailed out on this possession with Mike Conley stepping out of bounds on the catch and go. Had that not occurred, Lively would have ended up being in another vulnerable position where Gobert sealed him off and nobody would have been in position to be able to contain Conley on the drive. Another part of paint responsibility that Dereck Lively will continue to be needing to improve is his physicality. Here he gets kind of cleared out of the way too easily and gives up an offensive rebound. There's plenty of growth that will need to occur for Lively handling one-on-one situations out in space. This was Lively's best possession in these situations. Naz Reid tries to get him with an in-and-out dribble, but is unable to shake him. Lively maintains good positioning and uses his length deep on the drive to pressure the finish at the rim. Rudy Gobert overpowered Lively a few times. Here he ends up getting to the middle of the floor, makes a spin move, plays through Lively's chest, and just goes into a finish and draws a foul. Lively didn't provide much resistance at all, with his lower body strength still needing to be an emphasis for his development. Gobert ended up taking him into the post on this next possession and just worked him down with a couple back down dribbles and made an inside move into an aggressive dunk. Lively must approach quicker post threats better as well. He gave a cushion to Naz Reid, who took advantage attacking baseline with the rip-through move and protected the ball with a reverse finish. Against Real Madrid on a reset isolation play, he ended up just getting blown by out in space, didn't offer resistance on the drive since he was unable to recover deep, and gave up a layup. Another aspect of Lively's defense that could use some cleaning up is his handling of shooting threats out in space. Here he closed out too tightly against Karl Anthony Towns, causing him to get blown by. And luckily, Kyrie Irving helped initially on the drive, and then Grant Williams helped the helper and was in a position to tie up the ball on the backboard when Rudy Gobert caught the drop-off pass and looked to finish it. Lively left too much space for Naz Reid on the trail and ended up being a little too sagged off before the catch and wasn't able to alter the release.